First up on today's show, Katie Knox and Megan Sidmore bring us an interview with Principal Banach.
My co-anchor Zachary Clayton is back again with a new edition of Atom Update.
And finally, Jacob Cohen talks about how the ACT and SAT will impact the class of 2021.
All that and more coming up next on Flyer News Remote.
Leaving awake in the moonlight, past trees and out of sight. I'm going back home. Only face I know is a face I see. Only place I know is inside of me. Home in me.
Good morning, Framingham. Welcome back to Flyer News Remote. Today is April 17th, our 37th day home from school. I'm Zachary Clayton.
And I'm Atal. Recently, Principal Banach addressed how grading will work for this school year.
Though you may still have some questions.
With more, we have Megan Sidmore and Katie Knox bringing us an interview with Miss Banach.
On Monday, April 13th, Principal Banach sent out an email to Framingham High students to inform them of the recent updates to the remote learning system. This included time constraints, expectations, and grading for our time away from school. All work completed during this time will be graded on a 0 to 4 scale based on completion. Each teacher will evaluate each student's level of participation and give you a grade from that scale. Given that we hadn't yet finished Term 3 and elective classes were still in the beginning stages, rather than the percent boost in your grade, your at-home participation combined with your grade before leaving will earn you either a passing or failing grade. For all classes that aren't electives, grading will still remain on a percentage-based letter scale. Flyer News producer Megan Sidmore and I sat down with Principal Banach, who elaborated on this concept.
So the pass-fail or pass with distinction is for the semester 2 electives only. I think the electives might have met maybe 20 times. I mean, that was it before we left. Right. And so there's just not enough content that had been taught prior to March 11th.
That is just elective courses. And then all of our academic courses are still going to be that percentage letter grade.
That's correct. So for example, let's just say a student had a 70 in Algebra 2, let's just say. And that's posted next Monday for the student to see, oh, okay, I had a 70, I want to do better. So the student, if the student submits 75 to 100% of the assignments during this remote learning period, that student would get the 20% bump. Because that's a 4. That's the 4 category, 75 to 100% of submitted. And then the 3 is to get a summative rating of a 3. The student would submit 50 to 74% of the work. To earn a 2, 25 to 49% of the work would be submitted. And then to earn a 1, the student submits 1 to 24%. And so the bumps, the highest, the 4 is the 20, the 3 is the 15, the 2's the 10, and the 1's a 5. So that's the bump on the year-long classes. And then for the pass-fail, the pass with distinction for the elective is in category 4. So student submits 75 to 100%, and so they could earn the summative rating of a 4, which would give them the pass with distinction. And then a 3, 2, or a 1 would be a pass. One of the most important things is to incentivize for students. Because we want the students in class, we want people engaged. I'm a little worried that some students may be spending more time on, let's just say, science, for example, and they're doing more than 30 minutes because it's just what they're doing, and then they're not getting to English or they're not getting to their electives. And so we want to incentivize this so that students are going to all of their classes. 30 minutes only. And that's why I had said in the video yesterday to put a timer on, because after 30 minutes, students should stop. We want to keep learning alive. We want to stay engaged with the students, but we also understand how stressful this is right now. I think it's especially hard for teenagers because teenagers like to be together and be physically and connect. And the whole social element to being a teenager and to not be with your friends right now is Virtually is one thing, but it's not, again, it's no substitute for being together. So we want to keep everyone connected. We want to keep learning alive. And what I don't want is to stress people out. As I said to students, if the 3 options on the academic calendar doesn't work for a student and the no tech option doesn't work for whatever reason, that's fine. Email your teacher. We will come up with something that works for each student.
Of course, Principal Banach and the rest of our school teachers understand that these are stressful times and are here for us regardless. The at-home work remains optional, but school officials are hoping that students will continue to engage in their work and hoping that the grading incentives will help to inspire them to continue their work as much as possible. Given the current uncertainty of the rest of the school year, Flyer News will continue to update you as we receive new information. Reporting for Flyer News, this is Katie Knox and Megan Sidmore.
It is suspected that a lab in Wuhan is the source of the coronavirus pandemic, when a worker studying the virus possibly spread it to the local population. The Wuhan Institute of Urology has been funded in the past by both Canada and the United States, with recent funding coming from Canada. The suspicion comes from classified and open source documents. According to the Washington Post, quote, "The new lab has a serious shortage of appropriately trained technicians and investigators needed to safely operate this high containment laboratory."
Every week, my co-anchor Zachary Clayton touches on different topics of the science world.
This week, I will be discussing the possibility of past ingredients of life on Mercury and more.
With more, we have a new edition of Atom Update.
Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Atom Update, where you can find your weekly science news. Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Zachary Clayton, and today we'll be taking a look at possible past life ingredients discovered on Mars and the removal of the Lunar Gateway and NASA's plans to return humans to the moon. Recently, scientists found that the first planet in our solar system, Mercury, may have contained the ingredients for life under its surface long ago. The hot atmosphereless planet is covered in fractures, peaks, and craters, which could have been caused by these ingredients escaping from the interior of the planet in gas form. It was originally believed these fractures were caused by an asteroid impact in its early life that severely changed the surface of the planet. But after analyzing data from the NASA Messenger spacecraft, they are exploring more possibilities. The planet may still have been hit by an asteroid, but the surface continued to change afterwards. The surface also seems to have collapsed inwards as well. New discoveries like this are usually found elsewhere in the universe, but with this new data, it shows that we can find things like this even in our own solar system. Also, NASA removed the Lunar Gateway from its plan to return man to the moon, although they assure that the plan for having an orbital space station around the moon has not been thrown out. The original goal of the Lunar Gateway was to facilitate crew landings on the surface of the moon. It was removed to reduce risk of the first journey back to the moon. NASA still plans to have the Lunar Gateway, just not in the critical path to the moon. Thank you all for watching this edition of Atom Update, where even the smallest matter can affect the world. Be sure to look forward to the next edition coming up next time. I'm your host, Zachary Clayton, and let's take it back to B&J.
With over 2,311 students at Framingham High School, the school size is very large, and each class size keeps on getting larger and larger. For the 2020-21 school year, the district plans on maximizing efficiency with scheduling and class location. They will be analyzing class size, schedules, and relocating office spaces. On Wednesday, the school committee had a Zoom meeting and briefly mentioned plans for the future of FHS. In their slideshow, for 2021, they plan on moving the district-wide technology department to a new location, repartitioning classrooms, minor reconfiguration of existing systems to repurpose spaces, and minor reconfiguration to improve building circulation. Flyer News will keep you updated if the story progresses.
As many of you know, the SATs and ACTs are important tests for college admissions.
Due to coronavirus, testing may have been shut down and juniors have not been able to take the tests.
Some colleges are making the SATs and ACTs optional for students graduating in the class of 2021.
With more on this, we have Jacob Cohen.
Due to the coronavirus, high schools across the nation have shut down or limited their operations. As a response, both the College Board and ACT Incorporated have canceled all of their exams until June. This has prompted a record number of schools to cancel their requirements for SAT and ACT tests. In total, 51 colleges and universities have dropped their requirements, including Boston University, all University of California schools, Northeastern University, and even Tufts, who decided to make tests optional for the next 3 years. Student advocacy groups are happy with these decisions, but demand more universities adopt test optional policies for at least the fall of 2021. They argue that besides the tests being canceled, many students no longer have access to test prep and their school's free test date. They also argue that some students have had such a drastic change in lifestyle that they can no longer fit studying for the tests into their schedule. Many student advocacy groups also want the changes to be permanent. They argue that colleges will have to evaluate them on more than just a score. Both the SAT and ACT argue that their test is a good predictor of college success and that it is a sufficient criteria to judge students on. Student advocacy groups say that SAT and ACT testing also discriminates based on socioeconomic background, citing the Varsity Blues scandal of last year. More than 1,000 schools already have permanent test optional or test flexible policies. For Flyer News, this has been Jacob Cohen.
Massachusetts currently has almost 30,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and over 1,100 deaths, and has the third most cases of any state in the U.S. Middlesex County has 6,681 confirmed cases and continues to have the most cases in Massachusetts, beating Suffolk County, which has Boston in it, by 400. Officials are now reporting that we should see our peak in the next 2 weeks on April 29th and 30th, but we may not see our last death until mid-June. So in case you needed another reminder to stay home, please stay home. Leaving just because you miss your friends is selfish. We all miss our loved ones and we're all struggling, but we can and will get through this. And the more people who socially distance themselves now, the faster this will pass. So please continue to stay home unless you're an essential worker or you need essentials like groceries, and wear a mask when you leave.
That's all for this episode of Flyer News. Feel free to watch our previous videos, subscribe to our channel, and like this video.
And if you're still looking for more, make sure you check out our Instagram page at flyer_news.
Or you can check out the Flyer News TikTok at scripts.fhstv.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay home, stay safe. For Flyer News, I'm Zachary Clayton.
And I'm Jay Atal. Have a fantastic Friday, everyone.
Let go the day, yeah. Let go the day, let go the day. I pretend, yeah. Let go the day, let go the day. BGN.